this is the Planning and Zoning Commission for the Village of Vernon Hills. We need to start with a roll call.
Commissioners Cotton,
Here.
Hesner,
Here.
Heidner,
Here.
Mulcrone,
Here.
Chairman Morris.
Here. Okay. This evening, we have two public hearings on our agenda. The first being case 2021-12, an application filed by North Shore Sign requesting a variation from the Village Code of Ordinances to allow a ground-mounted sign to display 6 tenant panels rather than 1 tenant as permitted. They're requesting approval to construct a new ground-mounted sign adjacent to Milwaukee Avenue at 1101 South Milwaukee, which is Zone B1 General Business District. This one we're hearing pursuant to our newly found jurisdiction with respect to what used to be the Zoning Board of Appeals. It now appears here. So who's going to present on behalf of the petitioner or the requester here? Okay, do you want to step forward, please? Okay. Can you identify yourself for us?
Yep, my name is Matt Laska. I'm the salesman for this job for North Shore Sign.
Okay, as this is a public hearing, we'd ask you to raise your right hand and swear or affirm that this testimony you're about to give before the Village of Vernon Hills shall be the truth.
Yes.
With that, you are on.
All right. So basically, like Mike said, or I'm not think with the mask, I couldn't tell who was talking there.
That's me.
Okay. Basically, the Vernon Hills Code allows only 1 tenant. We're allowing this sign to be up to 6 tenants. Basically, this is on behalf of Frank DeMonte, who owns this strip mall. He has 6 different businesses located in this strip mall. Pretty standard as far as ground signs. We have the brick and the tan and brown colors are going to be matching what he has on his building. So everything is going to tie in with his kind of sign criteria, building criteria. All the panels, rather than being just straight Lexan plastic panels with vinyl copy, these are going to be break bent aluminum painted. So basically, if you're looking on the drawing, everywhere you see the white copy, that's the only part of the sign that lights up. So the backs of the panels, which are the brown metal, the tan, none of that will be illuminated. It's just going to be the white routed out copy on that sign. But otherwise, yeah, everything ties into his building. He's got this, he will be providing the brick structure on the bottom. That's going to be the same brick that they have on their actual building right now. And basically, the whole reason for this variance is to get a little more visibility for his businesses, because right now all they have is just 1 wall sign per business. This allows anyone driving by Milwaukee who can't, without turning their head really, to turn and face the building, can see what's located in this business, strip mall, located, you know, yeah, basically who's gonna be in the strip mall, what the businesses are, stuff like that.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions for anyone on the commission?
There is nothing there right now. There is no ground sign.
Anything else? Mike, if there was 1 tenant sign versus 6 tenants, what would the size difference be?
It would be the same, the maximum allowed would be the same of 50 square feet.
And this is 50 square feet, if I didn't do the math?
That's correct.
Yeah, it looks like it, 50 square feet.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's really just adding additional text within the same 50 square feet?
Yep, additional text and additional panels. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Okay. Okay, anybody else?
I think it's a reasonable request.
Okay.
I think for strip center, to have 1 sign identifying just the center itself, especially on a busy road, I agree with the petition. I think it's a worthy request.
Okay. Since this is a public hearing, does anyone in the public wish to speak with respect to this request? Yes, please. You might come forward. Want to tell us who you are, please?
Hello, my name is Anna Benkowski, and I'm the owner of one of the houses on Apple Orchard Lane. And the Apple Orchard Lane, it's the side road that actually it's you take the road to approach the plaza. And I find a sign. It's very difficult to enter, particularly if you want to go to the left from the Apple Orchard Street to join Milwaukee Avenue. And as gentleman said, that this is very busy street. And we have very difficulty if we wanna make a left turn towards the, like to join the Milwaukee Avenue, and putting the sign as big as it is, it's gonna make it even more difficult. And it's gonna obstruct, as of now, there is very difficult to enter the street, and particularly during summer when there is, because they are the trees there, when the trees has leaves, it's difficult, the view is very obstructed, and this is gonna add even more obstruction to the view. So it's very, very difficult to enter the street. So if they wanna make the sign, I would like to, I don't know how that works, I've never attended meetings like that I propose like to making a light, like a street light, which the light is very close, going to the south on Milwaukee Avenue. And because the plaza became very, very busy, and it has more traffic, and there is like more businesses coming over, and this gentleman here, he concentrated on visual, beautiful sign, and how he's gonna be constructed and from what material, but there is another side to it. And we have young children, we drive them to school, like every morning. And the school buses actually stops, actually the bus will be stopping right by the sign, so they are concerned about, they want to promote the business, so it will be very visible on the busy street. I am concerned, and the rest of the residents are concerned about the safety.
Okay.
Okay?
We looked at this from a line of sight from Apple Orchard.
Yes, we have, Apple Orchard being here, yeah, we have. And what we do is we make sure that the site triangle, which is 25 feet in each direction from the intersection, is maintained free and clear. And this sign is, there isn't a dimension here, but it's the building.
It's like 225 to 230 feet from the intersection.
Yeah, that's correct. The building itself is 140 feet away, so that sounds correct.
And it's 7'2".
Height, yeah, exactly. Yes, sir, yeah. So it doesn't create a sightline obstruction at that intersection, to answer your question clearly.
Like, so how many feet from the, like when there is Milwaukee Avenue and the grass starts, how many feet
It looks like it's at least 25 feet from the curb.
It's impossible, it's not possible, okay?
25.
Because the whole,
Yeah, so we have, where you see that dotted line in the middle of the grass area, that to the street is 25 feet. We actually also have the sign end to end, like the actual end of the sign will be 10 feet away from the curb. So this is about 35 feet away from the curb.
So it's 35 feet.
okay, wait, what curb are you talking about?
Milwaukee.
What,
On Milwaukee, because this is gonna be,
where is the apple orchard here?
on the left, you see that group of buildings. This won't be near the entrance to where that street is. This is gonna be.
I just saw, because, before this hearing, they just started construction there. So I saw the beginning of the construction. It's in the middle of the grass, because there is when you enter, like the plaza, so you have to take Apple Orchard. So there is the businesses are in the back. You have the parking lot, and then you have the grass that is between parking lot and the Milwaukee Avenue. So the sign is going to be on this grass, and this section of the grass. This is where construction had started. So if someone is talking about, okay, 25 feet, no, that's not possible, okay? So tell me exactly, like, what's the length of the sign will be from Milwaukee Avenue? Because as of now, sometimes when I try to enter the Milwaukee Avenue, it's particularly during summer, it's very difficult to enter, particularly when there is a green light going from south. You have to wait sometimes a few minutes before even, going into. So with that sign, it's going to be even worse. And it's all about safety. It's going to be calling for the accident.
Okay. A couple of points. Number one, the Village of Vernon Hills does not control the placement of stoplights on Milwaukee Avenue because that's a state road. So unfortunately, we really have no jurisdiction there. In terms of the placement of the sign, I think we need to be very clear that it's at the location marked in the packet up there, which is at least, it's 25 feet from the curb line of Milwaukee and about 200 and some feet south of Apple Orchard Lane. So assuming that it's put in that location, which the village, through the building department and engineering, will assure it is, there should not be the, if you will, the sightline issue that you're describing. Certainly, if this sign was closer to Apple Orchard and closer to Milwaukee, that would create a problem. But that's not where they're looking to put it. Okay.
Like, to me, this is a joke, okay? So this is Apple Orchard, okay, and the sign is like next to it, like,
No,
where is
no.
the sign?
Where the red marking is,
The road next to the red mark is Milwaukee.
right.
Yeah, I don't see any red marks on it.
Just have a laser pointer on it.
Yeah, okay, so
Yeah,
please show me
So,
exactly.
right there.
Okay, so you told me that, okay, so that Apple Orchard is to the left. No.
No,
the-
Apple
where-
Orchard would be right here, correct?
It's right here,
Yeah,
right?
And the sign's
Yes,
all the way down on this side.
right, okay, so, and you are telling me that that sign is 25 feet from where?
From Milwaukee right here.
Milwaukee.
Because this right here, this white area right here, that is 25 feet.
Hasn't it started?
So that will be, okay, and there is like between this 25 feet, you have trees, okay, and the next to it will be the sign. So the whole street, the whole view will be blocked at this point, because the sign, maybe if you do be higher, it will be, makes a difference. But now, because it's gonna be attached to the ground, the total view will be blocked, particularly during summer.
Yeah. Miss, the construction that's there right now, that's IDOT doing work with related to storm structures. That has nothing to do with the sign.
Oh, so there is different, okay, so.
Yeah,
okay,
different
So I
thing.
saw the,
The sign is much further south of where they're working right now.
so I can picture it, because, you know, so what, the sign will be made on the parking lot?
No, it's gonna be in the grass.
In the grass.
Okay, so show me here the 25 feet, the length
Well,
25
okay,
feet.
we can't do all that. It's 25 feet based upon the plans that have been submitted to the village. The village will ensure that when the building occurs, that it occurs consistent with the plans. Your concern in terms of sightline from Apple Orchard, which is a valid concern and an important concern, should not be impacted by this particular location, because it is also, in addition to what we just said from Milwaukee, it's approximately 200 feet south. So it shouldn't provide any, if you will, blocking of your view. We will ensure in any conditions of approval, assuming it's approved this evening, that the placement of the sign be consistent with the particular request and whatever this is called. It's got the geometric plan incorporated into the, so you can't put it suddenly someplace else.
No, of course,
right.
right. No.
Okay? To address your concern, miss. Okay? Anything else?
No, like, what, okay, well, so what did you say about to address my concern, what?
That it will not be at a position to block the, which would be the sight lines from Apple Orchard Lane turning onto Milwaukee. So it's going to be consistent with all of the regulations as well as this placement.
So maybe the regulations are wrong, because, you know, anything that is gonna be placed on the ground there, it will be, as I said,
Like you said,
additional obstruction to
Like-
already obstructed view, which
I-
is very difficult
No.
to enter the Milwaukee Avenue, particularly if you attempt to make a left turn going south.
I understand that, but once again, we do not control the Illinois Department of Transportation regulations. That's something the state of Illinois controls. And secondly, where this sign is placed, the village engineering staff and building staff has determined that it does not, because it addresses your.
Do you
concern.
have it in writing somewhere that some engineers had determined
it is
already
the-
that there is no blockage, no obstruction of view?
That is what the village has made a determination of by presenting it to us. If it blocked the view and was in violation of either Illinois county or local ordinances, we wouldn't even be talking about it tonight. So, yeah. Okay?
Okay, can I have it in writing?
I,
That someone had determined that this sign will not obstruct anything? Because you are just saying that like it was determined already by some, you know, like Department of the Engineers, whatever, so I would like to get it in writing.
the village does not personally write for every concern. We address them at the village and at the staff level. If you have a concern, certainly the village staff is here to talk to you. All we can vote on this evening is with consideration of your concern and with the information that's been given to us. Want to add anything, Mike? Yeah, please.
Can you, regardless of the outcome of the recommendation tonight, would you be willing to put a stake in the ground where the sign is going to be located? All right, and there'll be a flag on it, and that'll help you understand where the sign's going.
Good idea.
Yeah, I would have to do that anyway for a potential Julie check, so that's
Right.
not a problem at all.
Okay, good,
Yep,
because the
okay.
sign is so far away from the intersection, it in no way would obstruct or create a sight.
Like you are talking about the intersection, intersection by itself, it has no, it has nothing to do with it. In the view that like when you approach the Milwaukee Avenue and you look further for the traffic, this is not that I can determine if I can enter
Yeah.
the Milwaukee Avenue, I have to check like next 2 yards. No, I have to see what ahead, like 50, 100 yards,
yeah.
and that's gonna be blocking.
Understood, so, and it won't be an obstruction, I can assure you of that.
Have you been
And-
there? Have you went
Yeah,
there? Have
yep,
you?
Yep, been there, seen the site. I can
Mm-hmm.
assure you, it will not be a sightline obstruction. And so it's clear for you, the petitioner will put a stake showing where the sign would be located if the variation were to be approved. And that way you could just see it for yourself, and it'll be clear.
No, I
for
can,
you.
no, okay, so it's 270 yards feet from the end of Apple Orchard and 25 feet from Milwaukee Avenue. Okay, so I can pretty much picture it,
Yeah.
so which business, so that's in front of the 1, 2, 3, so that's in front of the,
That's gonna be in front of the
In the middle.
is it the,
animal hospital.
so the
and the new
second-
Allure that just was.
right, so this is in between, right?
Yep, yes, ma'am.
So, yeah, clearly it will be the obstruction of the view. It doesn't matter on this grass, whatever if you'll put it in the end, right by the road, yes, maybe because there is like some trees there, it won't be obstructing. But anything in between will be obstructing the view.
Okay. All right, we have that information, and that will be considered.
So maybe, like put it in the end, not 270 feet from Apple Orchard, put it in the end. And then you will have some trees blocking the sign, and then there will be complaining that, passing by like the drivers won't be able to see the sign. So you are, like someone from the business, of course, wants to promote the businesses there because this is the businessman and he wants to, promote the business. I came here for the safety.
And we understand that, and that when we will consider that in our vote, and the village board will similarly consider it, whether it is granted, as well as the village staff at the time.
So am I going to be notified about the outcome of this meeting?
If you want to wait tonight, yes. Or if not, we can notify you
Okay, and
separately.
am I going to get it anything in writing? And as I said, I would like to get it in writing. Who determine that it won't be any obstruction of the view?
The materials presented to the village are all available from the village, from village staff, so you can get all of those things, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So how long it's going to take?
You just have to ask.
For me?
You just have to ask.
No, I'm
Okay.
tonight to
Copies of this ready for you today.
tonight for the because I could hear that you are all for it so I can just imagine like I can expect what the answer will be so
Well,
that you
okay.
are here to promote the businesses,
No.
right, not the safety of the people.
All right,
who-
thank you.
who
Okay.
are residing there.
Okay. In addition, in our packets, we were provided this evening a letter from Alex Caparos, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, at 1296 Georgetown Way, regarding concerns that relate primarily, it looks, to lighting. And then also a question in terms of, adding an internally lit sign would likely distract drivers and therefore would have safety issues. So that is also part of the record this evening that we have. Are there any other public comments? Yes. Yes, please, sir.
Hi, my name is Jeff Posen, 11 Provincetown Court, Lincolnshire. I live immediately south of the property, I got to get my directions right, in the Heritage Creek townhomes. And so my property is immediately adjacent, really at the corner of Milwaukee and the driveway that borders the southern edge of the strip mall. My concerns, some of which were brought up here, obviously, safety is always an importance. When I look out well, let me just add, I was a resident there prior to the strip mall being constructed. When I look out my second floor, I see the strip mall, et cetera, over the years, particularly when I was in this room when there were discussions about when it was being built and other sort of communications, trying to be good neighbors both ways, both the owner of the property and myself, if there are ever any concerns, et cetera, whether it be lighting, et cetera. So I do have some questions about the lighting, what time, what hours the sign will be lit at the end of the day. And just before coming here, and if anybody wants a picture, at nighttime, I'm able to look out my second floor and see exactly, now that I see exactly where the sign's going to be. I have a direct sight line to that. And, I have concerns about the visual aspect of that as it relates to the value of my property. Also, I know in the summer, when there's leaves and things on the tree, when it was first constructed, we paid for all the additional arborvitae that were on the property to shield Milwaukee, because prior to this property being constructed, it was very wooded and paid for landscaping, et cetera. So I don't know what the resolution would be with respect to potentially more landscaping, whether it's on the mall property or on mine, et cetera, with respect to the sightlines here. But that's basically my observations: lighting, brightness, and basically what I want to look at when I look out the window.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. All right, want to add anything? Well, anything else from the public first? Okay, want to add anything, sir?
Well, just to address the issue, because I know you said with the letter and he said about the lighting, this is going to be a very low lighted sign. The only copy that's going to light up is that white. So everything you see brown, tan, that doesn't light up at night. So either way, this is also going to be LED. So this can be adjustable, however it be, and this will also be hooked up to a timer. So whatever the hours are that Vernon Hills allows that the sign can be on would be going to that. Otherwise, we can talk to Mr. DeMonte, who owns a strip mall, about timing, what time it turns on versus what time it turns off. But looking just at the copy there, only about maybe 25–30% of the sign is actually going to be illuminated at all times.
What is the height of that?
7'2".
Okay. Right, anything else from the commission?
And how, when the car,
Wait.
the car drives on the street, how high
You have to talk in.
Okay, wait. Is there anybody else from the public who wants to speak? Okay, if not, we're going to close the public hearing. What's up there? Okay. That is the sign that we're talking about, and those are the dimensions we're talking about, right?
Correct.
Okay, Jim.
The current tenants, what are their hours? Are they open later than 10?
I would assume no, just because, nail, med spa, and lashed, I'm assuming businesses like that aren't open very late. And then I do know the animal hospital is not a 24-hour animal hospital, so they would probably close around. Everything should most likely be closed by 9–10 o'clock.
And what is your, there are no requirements as far as there are no requirements as far as the village is concerned, as far as hours of signs?
There's no specific hours in the code regulations. Certainly, the commission could consider a condition of approval that would require the sign be turned off by a certain time.
And you wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that?
No, I would just have to share that information with Mr. DeMonte, our customer. That's about it. But I'm sure all he wants is his customers' names out there. I'm sure, if the sign is to turn off by 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure he's not going to complain. Something like that. I'm sure he'll be okay with that.
But we're not going to determine that tonight on what the suitable hours is for
You
that.
said we could make it a condition.
We can make it a condition that it's not going to burn all night, but I don't think it's within our jurisdiction to determine what time of day that should be on and off. I mean, are you prepared to do that?
I would be.
I thought you were going to say something else, Scott. I thought you were going to say is that we could make it a condition in terms of the hours of illumination, but would not put in the condition those hours because of the limited information we have at this point, and leave that up then to staff to determine with the owner and the
Yes,
residents.
that is something that I agree with.
Okay. Jim?
Can I get some clarification?
Sure,
Okay.
Jerry.
The way I read this is they're entitled to a sign. What we are considering tonight is the variation to have 6 panels rather than 1.
Yes.
Correct.
So
Correct.
the matter of fact is they are entitled to a sign. The sign is within the guidelines as far as the placement. The lighting is, they're entitled to have an illuminated sign. So, I mean, everything else is really not in our jurisdiction.
Right.
That's correct. Everything else, except for the number of panels, is permitted by right.
Exactly. Okay, thank you.
Is the square footage, though, is within right of the total signage? So if the name of the center happened to be 30 words, that would be the same thing as having the amount of words that's on it?
Yep.
Okay.
And if the state has right of way to make this 6 lanes, is that correct?
Yeah, this is an SRA, so that the dotted line shows how much the state could take for right-of-way if they ever needed to in the future. So if that were ever to happen, the sign would still comply with the minimum 10-foot setback requirement for signs. So right now, it's actually 35 feet from
Right.
the property line along the right-of-way. If the right-of-way were ever to be widened, it would still comply with the sign code. That's why it's set up where it is right now.
So if I can, bear with me here, I'm
Oh,
gonna
no, sure.
play a little game here. If it was widened to 6 lanes, would Apple Orchard be allowed complete access? Or would the state dictate it be a right in, right out?
It's almost certain the most they would allow is a right-in, right-out, but even that's in question because they have clear access to the property from Apple Orchard Lane. But the most IDOT would ever approve in this situation is a right-in, right-out. And I'm speculating a bit, but, based on how I've seen other projects get approved through IDOT.
So it would not be, the sign would not come into a issue of sight line again, because they're only gonna make right outs.
Correct, and again, it's highly unlikely that would ever happen, but if it did, then at that time, we'd have to reconsider repositioning the sign, if it did create a sightline obstruction.
Anybody else?
I do have one question.
Sure.
From the 25-foot setback line, that distance to the parking lot curb is 21 feet. That's what it says on this.
Well, we've got from, so basically,
So
yeah.
It
Oh, go
says
ahead.
21 feet,
Right,
right? And the sign is 10 feet wide.
correct.
So if it's 10 feet off of that 25-foot line, it would be 1 foot between the edge of the sign to the curb of the parking lot.
Trying to see, where are you getting the 21 feet from? Because I got,
It says landscaping
right
buffer
here is
21
25,
feet.
this is 25 feet right here. This area right here.
He can't see what
use
you're
the-
doing.
Oh, no, I didn't think of that.
Just use the cursor on the.
Oh, okay.
No,
On the screen.
The cursor on the screen. Now that's the pointer.
Oh,
You're-
this guy,
no.
okay.
Yes.
So you got 25 feet right here.
Correct.
Oh.
And 21 feet there.
Right.
So that would be, so the dotted line here would be the first point of the sign.
Oh, no, 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 no. No, that's not what your petition says.
Right.
Yeah, it says it's 10 foot from that line.
Oh, I'm sorry, so right here, sorry, this line right here would be 10 feet
Right.
from here.
Which would leave 11 feet to your curb.
Correct, yeah.
And your sign is 10 feet wide.
No, correct, yes.
So it would leave 1 foot to the curb of the parking lot.
I would guess so, yeah.
Are these parking spaces the full 19 feet? Or is there an overhang of 2 feet?
Sorry, repeat that.
Is that beyond you?
Your cars parked along Milwaukee Avenue, do they hang over the parking lot? Is that what he's asking?
I can help. They're 18-foot deep spaces.
They're 18 foot deep?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the ordinance is 19?
Yeah, that's correct. If there's landscaping, then if there's a landscaped area, then they'll grant an allowance for cars because they can hang over.
Right.
If it's parking space up against parking space and nothing but a striped line, then you need the full 19.
Right. So vehicles can extend over this curb a foot.
Yes, sir.
So have you considered that?
This was the spot determined by Mr. DeMonte. So so we can go back and remeasure and all that stuff. If it comes out to what you are saying, which I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm saying if we go back out there and remeasure that, we can certainly pick another location in that area.
Well, I
Or
guess
even
that-
talking about, like squeezing the sign a little bit, but on the sides.
I'm just wanting to make sure you understand
Well,
that there's very little distance between the curb of the parking lot and
I do understand that this was the location he picked out.
that's still not answering my question.
No, we measured it out, so he would see the 1 foot. I see what you're saying. He picked out that spot knowing we measured out with 2 stakes while I was out there, tagged end to end.
And you were 1 foot away from the parking lot.
This was like 3 months ago, so I don't, at the top of my head, I
A
do
lot of
remember.
things have happened between now and then.
Well, right.
Okay.
You could always move it one parking spot south to the grass island.
That would make more sense.
South. No, north, you're right, north. It's upside down, yes.
Is that a landscaped island?
No, he just has a light post there.
So it's a parking space with a light post. That's not a.
Oh, no, sorry, sorry, it is landscaped, yes. So there's no parking right in this area. That's completely blocked off.
Is it just hard surface or is it landscaping?
Like, is there grass there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
To move that sign
Sure,
to the center line of that grassed-in area.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, this was the spot that he picked out when me and his contractor were out there.
Was it a lick your thumb, hold it up in the air?
With him,
spotting?
it was kind of very of the moment.
Arbitrary.
Yeah. So yeah, his main thing is we will be drawing power from that light post. So if we're bringing it even closer to there, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no trees in that area either, so he's good to go on. If we can move it closer to that, that's not a problem.
That's a condition.
That's
Sure.
Got it.
Yeah, I can certainly draw up another one of these plans on Mike. I can send that over to you then.
All right, anything
Yeah.
else?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, anything else from anyone? Jim?
So, this is kind of new to us, we didn't do variations before, and we're kind of new to it. Yeah. So, point number 1 says the property cannot yield a reasonable use in return if the variance is not granted. And what was provided there doesn't seem to say that you can't get a reasonable use out of this site.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The condition for approval is that you have to prove that the property cannot yield a reasonable use in return if we don't grant this variation. And I don't think you've proved that.
Okay.
If it helps, he's referring to your answer to question number 1 on page 2 of the application. Do you have that with you?
I do not know.
To page 2.
It's the statement of hardship in unique circumstances.
Oh, okay, so Jim, let me understand that you're saying that the answer to number 2 doesn't.
Number 1 is what I was looking at.
1.
1? Number 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I see what
Talks
you're saying.
about the benefit of the sign, but he doesn't talk about
I see what you're saying.
why the property cannot have a reasonable use because the variance isn't granted. Because obviously there are tenants in there.
So the benefit for this sign would just be these businesses are gonna be getting more exposure.
I understand the
That's-
benefit,
yeah.
but you have to say why, you have to present evidence to us why you can't get a reasonable use out of this property if we don't grant this variance.
Right, I do know, I did talk with Frank, this is back, I think, I'm not sure when we started working with Frank, but this was about half a year ago. This strip mall does, with a couple of these businesses, do shut down due to low turnover rate, or due to high turnover rates, because most of these businesses, I believe when I started working with Frank, he had at least 5 or 6 businesses that were completely open, and due to, they basically, he calls it low traffic, because no one can really see exposure, he lost 2 businesses before we started talking about this sign. Since now, he has gotten a 5th business, but all this sign is meant to do is to help these business owners, get them more traffic, get them more eyes, so the business doesn't, Frank and the strip mall don't turn over more businesses. This is just to benefit the businesses and to benefit the strip mall, just to get more eyes on him and help them out. Basically, at the end of the day, he just wants to help the businesses get more eyes. People in Milwaukee can see, hey, there's an animal hospital, there's like a med spa right there, where right now, you basically have to be in front of the strip mall to see what's there.
Okay, now my question is to Mike on can he present that? He doesn't have to have what he just said in writing, does he?
Well, I think what he stated is on record and will reflect in the minutes. I believe that's sufficient.
Okay.
Excuse me, I would like to add something to your work, when I do have some more voice.
Wait,
I have two concerns.
anything else on the commission? Okay, very briefly, because we closed the public hearing, what do you want to add?
That mall has become very busy during the day. Pretty much the parking lot is full. I don't see if if the sign will bring more business. It won't be. They will start extending. They will be asking to put some more parking spaces because it won't be any space to park anymore. During the day, as I said, pretty much throughout the day, the parking lot is full of cars. So I don't think that there is an issue with enough advertising. The businesses that closed, it was insurance agency, chiropractor, and those businesses really, they rely on advertising somewhere else, not on the sign on the streets. And it was like another business, that was addressing like child development and whatever. Again, it was the same, they advertise somewhere else. They don't rely on the street traffic. That's one thing. Also, before at the beginning, when this gentleman was saying, I've heard 50 square feet, that the sign is within the ordinance, no more than 50. So if the sign is going to be 10 feet wide and 7.2 high, with my math, it's 72 square feet. Okay, so I'd like to address that, okay?
Oh, thank you. The sign code defines what part of the sign is measured, and it excludes the masonry base.
Right.
The reason for that is otherwise, everyone would be maxing out the actual sign panels, and it would limit the designer's ability to design a nice-looking sign if we had to include the whole thing. So by definition, the sign complies with size.
All right, anything else from the commission? For request for variance, we've adopted, or we are adopting, what we do when we also look as a planning and zoning commission. We have a standing motion to approve that the commission votes on, either to approve or not to approve. The standing motion would be to recommend approval of a variation from the sign code, allowing a ground-mounted sign to display 6 tenant panels rather than 1 tenant panel as permitted, subject to the conditions. The conditions are general compliance with the color renderings provided dated May 17, 2021. The location of the sign not as shown on the site plan, but centered on the landscape island, on the, I guess it's the west portion of the property. but retaining its 10 feet from the 25-foot, is that what the SRA line? Thirdly, ground level landscaping shall be provided at the base of the sign and is subject to review by the village landscape technician. Fourth, the sign illumination shall be interior illumination only, no exterior illumination permitted, and the hours of operation of said illumination shall be, how do we phrase it, or,
I would suggest that we contact the owner, we figure out which business closes the latest, and match that.
okay. That'll be our next one. Compliance with all their ordinances and standards of the village. The petitioner has indicated they will stake the location of where the sign is going so the residents can see it. Got that. Our packet includes responses as supplemented by this evening with regard to the statement of hardship and unique circumstances. So those are part of the record as well as this evening's testimony, the letter we received. We need a second.
I will second that.
Any discussion?
Can I,
Sure.
well, you talked about the hours that the businesses were closed. What was the whole point there? Read through that.
Do we turn off at the latest?
The lights?
Yeah, the lights.
The sign illumination.
The sign illumination.
Sign illumination, it ends with the latest business being open.
Right.
I would almost like to extend that. I don't know, if this business is all closed at 8, I'd still like for the light to be on maybe till 10, just for advertising purposes. I mean, it doesn't seem unreasonable.
Agreed.
So I would say the latest they close or 10 p.m., whichever is later.
Okay.
Okay, Jerry?
I agree with that.
Does this mean that any business in Vernon Hills can come back for adjusting the timing of the lighting of their signage?
Most don't have a limit.
They don't have it because,
We don't regulate it, so this would be a special condition just based on the fact they needed a variation.
right.
So I did just look it up too on my phone. The animal hospital, they close at 8 o'clock. So we could do, 10 o'clock or something like that.
Right.
I didn't look at the other businesses, but I'm assuming animal hospital, they're probably the latest one.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Any other comments by the commission? My only comment is that with respect to condition, or not condition, element number 1, which Commissioner Heidner pointed out, I think there is a question as to whether the property cannot yield a reasonable use in return based upon the testimony this evening of the busyness of the mall as well as the occupancy. But nonetheless, the other two provisions, element 2 and 3, seem to be met. So if there's nothing else, Scott?
I'm going to say something that's probably, question number 1, I think is almost unreasonable in itself. I think it's a very difficult question to answer. If you're a business wanting to do something like sign your property or market or do something, lighting the parking lot, things of that nature. We have rules regarding illumination, but 1 is a very difficult question to answer. And I know that they tried to answer it the best they could. And unfortunately, you didn't hit a home run on that.
No,
But Commissioner Heidner was right. It doesn't satisfy number 1. And I guess what I'm saying is number 1 is very difficult to satisfy.
Yeah.
But is my understanding that it has to satisfy all 3 conditions, is that not correct?
That's correct.
But they're entitled to a sign, right?
They are.
A sign, yep. See, that's, I think, the issue here, is that they're entitled to a sign, they're entitled to a sign of this size, and without a request for variance, they're entitled to a sign of this size at this location with this illumination. So as Commissioner Cotton points out, by adding 5 additional names, does that change any of those questions? And the answer is most likely no. It just gives the village the ability to add conditions if they want to do that.
That's agreed.
Yeah. All right, anything else? We need a vote.
Commissioners Hesner,
Yes.
Heidner,
No.
Mulcrone,
Yes.
Cotton,
Yes,
Chairman Morris.
Yes?
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the only reason I voted no was just because it didn't satisfy point one. I have no problem with this sign.
And that's why I hesitated. All right. All right. Next, we have case number 2021-7, an application filed by Hawthorne Community Consolidated School District 73, seeking approval to construct an addition to the existing school to be used as a band room. This is the school building located at 600 North Aspen Drive and is zoned PIB, Public and Institutional Building District. And who is going to speak this evening on behalf of the school district?
Good evening, Ted Haug with Leggett Architects.
You brought either a bunch of friends or your network. Are they going to speak at all this evening as well?
Possibly Leanne might, yes.
Okay, if they are, we should swear everybody in at once.
Okay.
She's coming up. Mike, was there a landscape plan in our?
Yeah, it's in there. It's hard to actually, I'll show it. It looks like.
Boy, they look. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Leanne Taylor. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Operations in the Hawthorne School District.
Okay, we'd ask you both to raise your right hand and swear or affirm that this testimony you're about to give before this Commissioner of the Village of Vernon Hills shall be the truth.
It is, yes.
Okay, thank you. With that, the primary rule is you need to speak from a microphone, and I believe you have already something up on the screen.
That is correct. Now,
Right.
can I operate this mic or
You can, but you should probably use the clicker.
this one?
Yep.
Okay. Basically, the scope of the project is, as Mike mentioned, in addition to the west side of the north bar of the middle school, and the only addition is the band room. We are continuing the concourse that runs in the east-west direction through the building and its main circulation spine, if you've ever been in the building. And we are basically taking the existing band room, making it into a choral room, and moving the band program into the larger addition to the west. The other areas that we're doing are purely on the interior and their renovations. We're proposing renovation to the locker rooms to include unisex changing areas and toilet rooms, renovations to the office area to make it more efficient and better circulation interior, and changing 2 classrooms into STEM labs.
Mike, because Commissioner Cotton reminds us that we only have to look at things that we have to look at. All we're looking at here is just, as relates to the building addition, the interior renovations, that's not for us, right?
That's correct. Just there for.
Just information.
But
Okay.
the commission has not requested to act on that.
Got it. Okay, sorry.
And this is just another floor plan blow-up of that area, as you mentioned. The addition is everything to the west. I've got a pointer here. You can't see it, can you?
Use the cursor. There you
Yeah, so everything west of this line to the left is the new addition, plus the concourse here, which is in yellow, which continues the existing concourse. And these are just blow-ups of the office, interior office renovations, the locker rooms, and also the STEM lab. The exterior of the building, we are matching as close as we possibly can the materials that are currently there. On the north side of the building, that is done in kind of a buff color split-face concrete block with banding of white split-face concrete block. The south side and the classroom wings is done in face brick, different patterns of face brick, both running bond and soldier course face brick. So we are matching that exactly both in terms of the bond of the brick, the material. We've got an extremely good match with the split-face concrete block. I was very surprised. This building's been there for 20 years and it's spot on. The brick was a little bit more challenging. We did find a good match though, and we are matching the banding and the way that the brick was laid off on the existing on the south side of the building also. We integrate a clear story of translucent glazing to bring in natural light, diffuse natural light into the building, and to animate the exterior a little bit. This is what it would look like on ground level. As you can see, the north side facade and the use of the fenestration is pretty, in fact, it's exactly the same as what you have right now. As you go to the south side of the building, as you can see, we're extending the concourse and we're following the rhythm of the pilasters that are used throughout the building. You can see it also on the main entry on the east side, and following the same sort of roof treatment and clear story glazing in the concourse also. And the brake metal used for the roof edge and the configuration and profile of that roof edge matches the existing exactly also. And this is from ground level. As you can see, it looks like it's always been there, quite frankly.
Okay.
And that's the landscaping plan. We're just adding some trees on the south side to shade the concourse and some bushes on the west side to soften the edge of the building. And with that, I'll open up to any questions you might have.
Any questions?
Does the rest of the building have landscaping?
Very little. At the main entry, they have sun, but pretty much on the south side in the courtyard where the classroom wings are coming out at a 45, there's virtually nothing.
Yeah. Isn't it generally considered a safety concern to have landscaping blocking around the school? Is that why like elementary south and Aspen didn't have landscaping?
Elementary South, we did do landscaping, at least for the addition. You know, that's a requirement, so we add it where we can, yes. But, you know, I can't speak to what was done in the past.
Okay.
Ted, is there any place where the new brick is right up against the old brick?
No, thankfully, because, in fact, let me go back to that elevation. As you can see, there is a glass panel between the only place where they come together is where the piers are, and there's glass panels between there. So you asked that last time, and the same thing here. We don't have any location where it comes directly in contact
And the glass
with it.
panel goes from ceiling to floor?
Yes, all the way up, from foundation all the way to the top.
Perfect.
I wish I had a recording when you said that.
Yeah, it doesn't happen often. That's the right way to do it.
We're going to erase
The
that.
driveway on the north side,
Yes, sir?
can you flip over to that side? Yeah, how far is, what is that driveway? It doesn't show up on any of the plans. What is that driveway?
Well, that is for,
That ends there.
that's a parent drop-off area. Yeah, they form a
Is
loop
it
around.
a circle there at the end?
Yeah, it's a huge circle, yeah. They,
Long driveway,
Yep.
long parking lot, they circle around.
they stack all the parents are there.
Anybody else?
I like
And
this.
Okay.
I guess
Jim?
this image does not reflect your landscaping then, right?
It does not.
No.
No, I thought you'd want to see the building instead of landscaping. That's a
So-
good architectural trick, is to hide the
But
building
it's
with
sort of,
landscaping.
it looks like there's a sidewalk right against the building.
No, there is a 5-foot strip there where we're gonna put, the bushes and mulch.
Okay.
I like the subtlety of the piano key windows. Yeah, I think that's pretty successful.
Thank you.
And honestly, I don't think the building needs any landscaping since the rest of the building has zero landscaping. I don't see the need to landscape something that no one is really ever gonna see.
The only advantage that I see is it does block the sun in summer. It's deciduous trees and it'll knock out a little bit of the solar gain. That's, you know, the big reason I think we wanted to do it.
Okay, anybody else?
And I would say, do the landscape, because it is, otherwise the building is pretty ugly.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad.
Okay. This is also a public hearing. Does anyone in the public wish to speak with respect to this request by School District 73? All right, hearing none, we can close the public hearing portion. Want to add anything?
Just thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'd like to, I'd like to thank the two members that we met with earlier on designing it, and they had some very good suggestions, so
Yeah,
thank you.
making the process very smooth.
Yep.
Good. All right, therefore, we have this evening a motion to recommend approval of revisions to the special use permit along with site landscape and architectural approval. So our first motion is to recommend approval to amend ordinance, whoops,
2003-040.
oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
Oh, can I add one thing?
Yeah, then I have to add something too, so go
Sorry.
ahead.
I'm gonna say, hey, Ted, can you come up just a second? In the spirit of, answering these 18.3.1 questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I would be remiss if I didn't say repeating the question in an answer form
Yeah,
is not the right way to do that. You have to answer the question, not repeat the question in the form of an answer.
Okay, so noted.
So moving forward,
Okay.
Yep.
I'll keep that in mind for next time. I'll see you next year at the
You-
same.
right on.
Excellent, okay.
right on.
Thank you.
right. Well, we do have section 18.3 responses for what they are. There was also notices sent out, but we received nothing on it.
We received no comments.
Okay. So with that, we have a motion to recommend approval to amend ordinance 2003-40, authorizing revisions to a special use permit for a planned unit development allowing an addition to the existing building commonly known as Hawthorne Middle School South, subject to the 6 conditions of approval that appear in the staff report. We need a second for that.
I'll second.
Any discussion? We need a vote.
Commissioners Heidner,
Yes.
Mulcrone,
Yes.
Cotton,
Yes,
Hesner,
Yes,
Chairman Morris.
Yes. Second, we have a motion to recommend approval to grant preliminary and final site plan approval, subject to, once again, the 6 conditions of approval in our staff report. We need a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, we need a vote.
Commissioners Heidner,
Yes.
Mulcrone,
Yes.
Cotton,
yes,
Hesner,
yes,
Chairman Morris.
Yes. We now have a motion to recommend approval granting preliminary and final landscape approvals for what they are, subject to the 6 conditions in our staff report. We need a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, we need a vote.
Commissioners, excuse me, that was Heidner. Commissioners Mulcrone,
Yes.
Cotton,
yes,
Hesner,
yes,
Heidner,
Yes.
Chairman Morris.
Yes. And finally, we have a motion to recommend granting approval for preliminary and final architectural plans, subject to the 6 conditions in our staff report. We need a second.
second,
Any discussion? We need a vote.
Commissioners Hesner,
yes,
Heidner,
Yes.
Mulcrone,
Yes.
Cotton,
yes,
Chairman Morris.
Yes. All right, thank you. Okay. Next, thank you. Next, we have any development review we need to review? Oops.
Sorry, just a couple updates. Relative to Hawthorne Mall, we're in technical review for a luxury senior housing facility. Working through a lot of technical difficulties with it right now, mostly related to building massing and a number of other things. So I'm sure we'll need another round of technical review. You guys might see that sometime in February. We'll see. And then something really exciting that's also a part of Hawthorne Mall is related to Hawthorne Row. If you remember, there's Phase 1. That's what they're building right now. That's the main drive off of Milwaukee Avenue, leading to what's left of the mall where Sears was removed. Retail, restaurant on the first floor, apartments above that. On the north side, the apartments circle a courtyard and a parking garage. On the south side, that encirclement would only be part of Phase 2. That part is going to be relocated. And that's going to be relocated to, if you could picture the plaza, when you drive in and there's the plaza. The Carson's building would be removed. The 2-story corridor leading to Carson's would be removed. And then that plaza would actually turn the corner around, right? Dave & Buster's would be relocated to 2nd floor. Underneath Dave & Buster's would be exterior-facing retail restaurant spaces. And then south of, there'd be a drive, the plaza would turn around and the drive would turn around with it. South of that drive is the relocated apartments. It would be retail restaurant on the first floor, and then apartments above and then behind it as well. Really preliminary. We only have conceptual plans. But it has an exciting start to it. We have a long way to go before we'll have it in front of you. But at least at this stage, it looks like a huge improvement over what would have been Phase 2.
So is it like an extension of the Main Street?
Yeah, it kind of went in, and the plaza was there, and you could turn left, but that was kind of the end of it. Now you turn left, and the Main Street and the plaza turn around the building like that.
Nice.
And what it does too is, Dave & Buster's, because you remove the corridor, is pushed much farther north. The new Dave & Buster's location, really close, in close proximity to where the AMC movie theater is. So even though it's at a second floor level, with relation to the retail spaces below it, facing south, it's at the same elevation as the AMC movie theater. And there's an outdoor walkway, again, at the same elevation of the entrance to AMC Theater, that would come around all the way to the south and everything. So it really starts capturing that theater. It almost felt like we were turning our back to it a little before. We had the grand staircase, but this is a big improvement over it. So again, very preliminary, but really exciting too. You guys will see this probably, I'm guessing, in early, maybe spring. It just depends on how well they develop the drawings and how many issues we identify that we have to solve. Also, just real quick, American Hotel Register has been marketing their property, and I've been informed they're down to 4 finalists. Everything, it's a BP business park, so everything is light industrial, warehouse distribution, those kind of uses. Excuse me, similar to what you see at the Darling Farm. That market, which, as everyone knows, is driven by e-commerce, is really hot, and that's the type of product where you have a really tall building, you minimize the structural columns, that kind of thing, a number of loading docks. Big market for that, so those seems to be the responders that want to redevelop that property. In each case, I've been told the office building would be demolished.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Really?
man, that's a lot of dough.
Yes, sir. So those are the 3 main things going on right now.
On Hawthorne Road, now that they're not doing Phase 2, do we have enough architectural articulation on the south facade of Phase 1?
We do.
Okay.
The only connection point was, I don't know the exact, maybe a 5 or 6 foot connection point where there would be a hall, and then they start building the Phase 2.
Okay.
So all that articulation remains.
Okay,
And,
good.
yeah.
So right now, what we see is the garage, correct?
Yeah, that's just the garage right now.
So there'll be something in front of that?
Yeah, when they're done, you won't see that at all. Yeah,
Because I'm hearing a lot of static about that already.
yeah, yeah, it'll look way better when they're done. But as a garage goes, it's a nice looking garage.
You'll never know the garage is there.
No, it's going to get encircled, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you'll see it, and they're starting to, to frame the floor. A number of the floors are poured, so you'll start seeing it coming together. If you get a chance, take a ride by Everly. That's starting to actually look like a building too right now. And that'll give you a good idea of how the construction at Hawthorne Row will be. You've got the parking garage, and then the dwelling units and building are built around it. You'll never see it when they're done.
Good.
That's about it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, good example is the Atworth at Melody Farm.
Right, yeah. The senior component at the, northeast corner of the mall, is it a senior component or is it a more skilled care?
There are 60 senior living facilities, completely independent.
Yeah,
There's 82 assisted living facilities, certain level of care, not totally independent, and then 20 memory care units.
is the assisted living to a higher degree of care and the memory care appropriate for their, it sounds like the independent living certainly is, but are the others?
Is it appropriate? They're
They're going to say they want phased care, that you move from one to another, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah.
But is that the most efficient use of property for the village and for the mall? People in memory care aren't going to go shopping.
You raise a very valid point, Chairman Morris. It did go to the board for concept presentation. There were issues raised really relative to the overall size and massing of the building, but they didn't raise any issues relative to the use. From staff's perspective, I completely understand the point you're making.
Okay.
Right, yeah, and I'm not real excited about it.
Does our fire department keep track of number of ambulatory visits to the other facilities in town?
They keep very close track of that, and they're very aware of this.
Would they have like a
and-
chart of numbers of each
Oh, yeah.
facility?
Yeah, yeah, and they could put a number on how much it'll cost, how many trips per day and the cost per trip.
Yeah,
Like, they already have the number for us.
it just seems that we're inviting that element into our entertainment district. Ambulances.
Good point. Well taken.
Okay. Any other development we should review?
Yeah, that's plenty right. I mean, that's why I ran in here so late. I was trying to catch up on one of
Right.
those reviews, and I lost track of time.
Right.
Is something happening to the beer head? I noticed the sign is gone.
Yeah, and I thought of you when I saw that. I really did. And I actually agree with you. The color was not a good color. Yeah, there is another restaurant going in there, and I'm sorry I forgot the name of it, but there's another restaurant going in there.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Then we have the approval of the minutes from October 27th. Need a second? Second. We'll do by acclamation, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, they're approved. If there's nothing else, we have a motion to adjourn. We need a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, all opposed? Oh, no one. And we're adjourned. Good night.